Smart marketers everywhere are learning that being able to tell an authentic, impactful story using video is incredibly compelling. While we know this, what is the best way to employ strategies to execute that vision? In the latest episode of the Can You Hear Me podcast, co hosts Rob Johnson and Eileen Rochford welcome expert video content creator Patrick Rooney of MahaloHub to tell us how to use video to tell real stories about clients and employees.
Wow, guys, expert. I feel like I need to look around to see who you're talking
Listen.
about.
All right. We're going to launch into the show now. We're ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Great.
do this. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to another Can You Hear Me podcast episode brought to you today by MahaloHub, the video content you need when you need it. I'm Eileen Rochford, CEO of the Harbinger Group, a marketing and strategy firm.
And I'm Rob Johnson, president of Rob Johnson Communications. Here at Can You Hear Me, you've heard Eileen and me discuss the importance of video and storytelling. Remember, we've said it only 100 times, video is king. It is one of the most effective ways to communicate your message to external stakeholders, meaning customers, clients, and of course the public. So, how do you use video to tell the real stories about clients and employees?
And today, we are fortunate to welcome someone who knows all about this. He is Patrick Rooney, the founder and CEO of MahaloHub. You may not have heard of MahaloHub yet. MahaloHub is a technology platform that makes it easy and affordable for companies to invite, capture, edit, and share employee video testimonials. Let's say that one more time. MahaloHub is a technology platform that makes it easy and affordable for companies to invite, capture, edit, and share customer and employee video testimonials. Patrick was also the founder and CEO of Q Social, an employee advocacy platform, and he co-founded Zocalo Group, a social media and digital marketing platform, both of which Patrick sold very successfully. So this guy knows what he's doing, is basically what the message that I'm receiving. He is also the co-host of the On Agency podcast. Patrick, welcome to Can You Hear Me? Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks so much, guys, for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah, we love this topic, and given all of your background and what you're doing now, I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit. You've got a great resume and a background. We've just heard about that. But before we learn more about how to best use video in general and MahaloHub in particular, why don't you give us your background, your origin story, a little bit more beyond some of those high points that Eileen just referenced a second ago?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We met at Ketchum.
We did. Yeah.
Eons ago.
I mean, as you were talking, I'm like, wow, I'm starting to feel really old.
Oh, but you're doing something really cool.
Accomplished.
Yeah,
That's the word.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Wordsmith Rob. That's so I'm a California guy. I grew up in Southern California and bounced between Northern and Southern California. Um, Ended up in San Francisco, working in agencies. Started at a technology PR agency called Cunningham Communication, which in the mid '90s was kind of the preeminent PR firm for technology, and it was great. That was my first job in marketing. It was a great learning ground. Worked at Ogilvy in San Francisco, and kind of went through the paces through agencies. And in 2001, I was like, I could probably do this on my own. And I had some clients that were interested, and so I in the summer of 2001, I broke out on my own, and then 9/11 happened, and I was like, gosh, not a great time to be, maybe starting something new for the first time at least. And I had been in California my whole life, and so I was just kind of looking at, what next? Where could I go? And I had some options, and I interviewed in September and October in Chicago, and it was gorgeous. I liked the company, and so I ended up moving to Chicago. rolling in on December 27th in the middle of a blizzard, thinking, "Oh my God, what have I done with my life?"
Oh, hey, I took my job in
Yeah.
Chicago in September and October too, so I know how you feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Where is a little bait and switch. But yeah, so we ended up at Ketchum and with Eileen and a whole host of just very talented folks. Um, yeah, and so that's that was my move to Chicago, and from Ketchum, I was there for a couple of years, and then went out on my own. Ultimately co-founded Zocalo Group, and we were focused on social media and really around recommendations, word of mouth recommendations at the time, and how is it that you can get people to talk about and recommend your company or product. And social media just happened to emerge around that time. So we had to get very good at harnessing social media. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, it was kind of a pioneer, Wild West days in social media. And then Q Social was another extension of that, right? So word of mouth, advocacy. How is it that you get people to join you, whether that's a consumer or an employee? And so Q Social was all around, how is it that we train people to use social media as an everyday business tool? And so that was, again, really interesting. And now here we are a few years later, again with the whole advocacy. And the question really was, all right, well, gosh, if you're able to create customer and employee advocates, what do you do with them? Right. And that was really the genesis of MahaloHub.
Yeah. So here we are. That's awesome. Every step of the way, we're pretty much on the front end, leading the pack into the next development in marketing, which is phenomenal. Um, let's talk about MahaloHub, because that's the gist of what we're here to talk about today. We want to talk about the finer points of the best and most effective uses of video. So tell us why you're have launched MahaloHub. What was behind that? What was the need that you identified, and how did you determine you could turn it into a platform that is so simple for people to use? I know that because I'm very, very, very familiar with it. And our own firm, my firm, the Harbinger, has been using it for clients, gosh, Patrick, since early last fall. Is
Yeah, I
that
think that's
accurate?
about right. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So we've had some time with it. So I can, confidently say that it is ridiculously simple and effective. So tell us why. How'd you identify that need and act on it and bring this to market?
It was really meeting a personal need that I had, or a professional need that I had in my work. I was doing some consulting and around advocacy. How is it that you create advocates, right? And all the way from it's the product and service to this, the support, all the way through. All right, well, you have these advocates. What do you do with them? And I was talking to my clients' customers, is Zoom like, walking them through questions. And then at the end of that, I would then go back and edit it into 1 minute, 90-second clips, do the branding, right? And then upload that to Google Drive. And they would take it and they would do whatever they wanted with it, right? And they really liked that. They love the customer stories. For me, I was at a point in my life where I'm like, gosh, I'm not sure that I really want to be spending my life doing post-production work. And so I went in search of a tool that would streamline the whole thing. And what I found was there are certainly tools out there, right, that enable you to capture and do some of this. But as a marketer and a business owner, there wasn't anything out there that checked all of the boxes in a way that was just super simple. And so, despite my wife telling me, look, you can do whatever you want, right? You can consult, you can do this, but what you're not going to do is create a technology company. Well, honey, here we are a couple of years later, and so that was the genesis of MahaloHub, meeting a personal need in a way that met I think the growing demand for video, right? In especially authentic video at an affordable price point. And that was really important for us, right? The ability to, because video is expensive. And regardless of company size or budget, there is no budget that is going to support the quantity of the volume of video to meet the growing needs, right? And so that was really important for us to create something that was affordable and scalable, right? To help organizations just generate just a ton of video that can be used however they need it.
I want to I want to take that a step farther and listen, I know that, Eileen and I and all of us work with really talented people in production, and sometimes you need the muscle of somebody who can do the full service and the all the video and the day shoot and all that kind of thing. But for me, as I look at it, because you and I have had several conversations beyond preparing for this podcast, but talking about the uses that it could have for Rob Johnson Communications, and sometimes projects don't rise to the level of we need a 3 day shoot or this or that, or we need to be able to get some testimonials from people to add to something we're already creating. And I feel like this is where you really have maybe cornered the market, because you can do it in such a simple way without having to break the bank, as you pointed out. So kind of walk people through the execution of, hey, I'm a marketer. I want to get this video. I want to get customer or employee testimonials. What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a big question. But before I answer the how do you do it, I want to touch on your point about video, right? And this is not, the objective is not to replace or supplant traditional video.
Right.
There is a place for, traditional, beautifully produced cinematic video, and we all love that, right? It can be magical, right, if done well. That said, today authenticity resonates, right? And for any number of reasons. Thank you very much to TikTok and Instagram and and all the socials, right? There's people want to hear from people like them, right? At the same time, the rise of AI generated video, right, it leaves people wanting, right? And you never know what's real or what's not. And to that, actually, you guys had a conversation some time ago around the emergence or the crisis of misinformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, people often don't know what do I believe? What's true and what's not, right? And so, the importance of telling your story through real people's real stories. I know that's a clumsy way to say it, but the ability to tell your story through your employees or through your customers is really important. The how and how that comes to manifest itself can take any number of forms. Certainly testimonials, right? What's my experience like? What's it like to work here? What's the value that the product gave me, right? So that's kind of an obvious low-hanging fruit. Thought leadership, the ability to tell, to share your expertise, an organization's expertise around a topic by making it easy for executives to talk about to answer a series of questions designed to elicit thought leadership. And this is really important because the mantle of influence, it's interesting, it shifts from year to year, and there are lots of reports and studies that calculate who's wielding influence. But I recently saw a report from Cision, and I'm going to ask, who do you think wields the most influence over consumer perceptions and decisions?
I think for
I'll
peers, friends.
So it's interesting. 15 years ago, there was the Nielsen study that said 92% of people trust the recommendation and referral of a friend or trusted source over any marketing or advertising. And that's been kind of a constant go-to stat. Cision just came out with a report that said those who wield the greatest influence are employees of an organization, consumers, and then corporate executives over influencers of all kinds. There's macro influencers, there's micro influencers, and I didn't even know that there are different levels of influencers, but I thought that that was fascinating,
It
right?
is. I agree with you.
And so, as I think about, the different use cases, Rob, getting back to, gosh, okay, well, how do
Mm.
you use this? Gaining feedback from customers or employees about what the experience was like. What would they like to see? Nonprofits for fundraising, for volunteers, for beneficiaries, right? And so there's a ton of use cases that really I like to say, the number of use cases are only limited by our imagination.
I just think it looks like a brave new world, and I hope that when we were talking, when I referenced it, and then you did about full productions and things like that, I didn't want to sound like don't use them because I don't know where I would be if I didn't use them on a regular basis. So I
Right.
didn't want to. And these are the people I work with every day, and I have a great deal of admiration and respect and love for them. So let's talk a little bit about information overload. You know, there's so much content out there. We all know this. So people are trying to figure out how can I employ, say, a MahaloHub to capture some of those testimonials as you're talking about. So with that kind of leading the question, how do organizations or companies use video to stand out and differentiate themselves from the competition when there's so much content and video out there today?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crowded, right? I mean, and it's hard for organizations to break through all of the clutter and the ability to engage customers or employees, right? To share their experiences, right? In a guided process. Because organizations, right, you just don't want to ask, hey, customer or employee, talk about your experience or send me a video, right? It's because that's not going to happen, right? And it's also clumsy. I've got to, if I'm the employee or if I'm the customer, I've got to take my phone, probably take my phone, record myself. I may not like it. I may like it. If I don't like it, I might not send it. But if I do like it, I've got to save it. Then I've got to probably upload it because if the file size is too big, I've got to upload it to a Google Drive and then send an email right in. That's clunky. And so, MahaloHub is designed to streamline all of that, both for the administrator, right? The ability to kind of organize and manage a campaign, to identify people, to invite people, to guide them in terms of here's the information that I want. So define the questions that I want people to focus on, and then send that out, whether that's to one person or that's to 100 people, all from one place. Typically or traditionally, that's been a highly manual process and it's been kind of cumbersome. On the flip side, as I was saying, the ability for the person that you're inviting to record, it's got to be super simple for them, right? It's and having it show up as a, hey, would you do this? Yes, great. Click here to get started, right? And then I can do it on my own time, on my own terms, on my own device, right? And I'm guided. What's your experience? Would you recommend us and why? Right? I mean, tell us two things that you would like to see us improve, right? Having a guided prompts, right? That makes it easy for them to focus and makes it, easy for the organization to collect the information that it wants, right? And at the end, the person, the employer or customer can go on their way. And by the way, everybody likes a little surprise and delight. So throwing in the ability for the organization to say, hey, thanks so much as a show of our gratitude. Here's a $5 gift card to Starbucks or Amazon or whatever. Then, giving them the option to do that is sweet. And then the ability for the admin to review them and get reviews and approvals if necessary, to the ability to edit. And the thing about video is editing is often tricky, right? And CapCut, there are a ton of editing tools out there. that are professional grade and they're fantastic. But oftentimes, if you're a garden variety marketer or in your PR and you may not have that capability or that expertise, the ability to make it easy for somebody to create professional looking content, right, from a dashboard is amazing, right? And then the ability to, all right, well, what am I going to do with it? Do I have to download it and then upload it to a website and then upload that same video to social media and then upload it to somewhere else, right? The ability to share that, right? Again, from that same dashboard. The principle here is simplicity across the board. Simplicity for the marketer, simplicity for the consumer, and simplicity for the employee.
Yeah, and it's incredibly simple and effective to have it all in one place. It removes a lot of the barriers. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone in front of clients, with our teams, and part of our strategy and the tactical implementation of that involved capturing testimonials of sorts from people within their sphere, and the looks on the faces of the clients just instantly deflating the second that the subject came up because of that complexity that you just described, as well as just the hassle of traveling around, for example, to get a lot of input, staging everything to look the same so that you could, make it, bring it all together and have it look more seamless than it actually appeared because you had people in 10 different locations. Lots of things that they just would instantly, their shoulders would sag. They would say, you don't know how much we want to do this. And we recognize and realize that we have to have video to tell the story because our people are our strongest advocates. But the cost, the time, the hassle, forget it. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to have to go in and sell it and get the green light. We don't want any of that. So it's funny. The converse of that being, what you've done is you've pretty much removed every one of those barriers, as well as linked that authenticity element. This isn't highly produced video. Yes, you can do a ton in post-production to improve the lighting in MahaloHub and improve lots of things, but it still looks like a person standing wherever they decided to stand using their phone or maybe their laptop, whatever device they used, to just talk and answer questions. So I love that it's answering a need that so many of us in marketing have, and the scale issue is great. So those are my 2 cents and our observations of having used it a little bit for several clients so far.
Yeah, and it's interesting as we talk to companies, oftentimes it's a new concept, right? And it sometimes takes some time for them to wrap their heads around the simplicity, right? They hear video and they go to, all right, well, the logistical nightmare and the lack of participation and the cost and the time for turnaround and right, what happens if we need content now and and we don't have the budget or the time or whatever. And the conversation, we have to kind of step back and set the foundation for, okay, this is super simple, and everything that you've thought about video before is changed. And yes, this is a tool that will supplement and augment your traditional beautiful video, but allows you to create, rapid response, quick action videos to fill, opportunistic needs. It is a tool that alleviates your headaches, right? You don't have to spend time traveling around or booking a videographer in 3 different locations. Right. So the conversations are fantastic because once they get the value and the ease that, that this will bring to their teams, right? The headache relief that it'll bring to their teams, the look on when the light goes off, it's magical.
Absolutely. I love it that we're starting to dive into that, how to use it to differentiate. Let's spend another minute or two. Other ideas that come to mind, ways that you see those who are now using MahaloHub are getting great use out of it that you can share. Just let's talk about the use cases a little bit
Yeah.
more and how they're
Yeah.
differentiating themselves using it.
Well, I want Patrick to share the use cases, and then Eileen, I want to ask you, as
Oh
somebody who's
yeah,
used it.
I'll definitely do that. But
Yeah.
there's a
No, I
little bit more
understand.
that we want to explore. So for
Of
sure,
course.
don't you worry. I've got at least 2 or 3 that I'm thinking it'd be kind of cool to just share that we did it and how it
Yeah.
turned out. Sure. You
Yeah.
first.
So, I think when people think about video, your mind goes to social media, right? And that's kind of the most obvious, that's the most expedient, that's right, that has the greatest reach. Okay, well, what about, what type of video then are you going to share in social media? Customer stories, people talking about their experience, employees for talent acquisition, right? The ability to shape what the employer brand is by sharing employee stories about what a day in the life of is, or what the culture is like at the organization. Which, by the way, going back to the decision report, right, not only is great for talent acquisition, but it's also great for the corporate brand because people, consumers want to see the people behind, right, the brand, and people are the brand. Um, Sales, the ability to incorporate this into a sales flow, right? So, excuse me, not only in pitches, right? If you have a live pitch, opening it up with a series of people talking about either the value or the value of the product or how much they love it, is hugely powerful. Or, following on a sales call, right? With, hey, it was great to talk to you last Tuesday. Really looking forward to the next. In the meantime, I thought I would share a couple of stories that you might find useful, right? So sharing through the sales process is hugely powerful. I think I mentioned nonprofit, right? I just actually got off a call with a financial institution that is using MahaloHub for its internship program, right? Not only to gain feedback on the internship program, what did you like? What can we improve, but also to tell the internship program to attract other interns, right? Here's what I learned. Here's what I did. I wasn't just a coffee gopher. I actually did meaningful, substantive work. So, just tons of, again, I go back to, the use cases are only limited by the imagination. If we went a step further, training, right? The ability to share best practices within teams, right? Especially like think of sales teams. What is it, talk about best practices when you're approaching, a difficult buyer in a certain segment and having your top salespeople, talking about how they approach that, right? Again, across the organization, there's applications for marketing, there's applications for sales, there's applications for talent acquisition, there's applications for product, right? In terms of product reviews and product feedback.
Okay,
Definitely.
Eileen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Eileen, those are all. And you really brought it to life because all those scenarios you just talked about, I'm like, I can see that. I can see that. I can
Yeah.
see that. And that's how you're using it. So Eileen, give
Mm,
us a case
okay.
of how you were able to, and you don't have to go through all of them, but how you were able to best utilize MahaloHub and how
Sure.
useful it was to the Harbinger Group and your client.
Yeah. I have a couple examples actually that I love to talk about.
Okay.
The first, I'll just say, when you mentioned nonprofits, I'll describe one way that we're actually using it right now. But another new idea that came to mind um, for a couple of our nonprofit clients is this. So most of our nonprofit clients host an annual fundraiser of sorts. Some have galas, some have um, fancy dress nights, whatever you want to think of it as, but it's a dinner and there's a pitch and someone's maybe receives an award and there are some meaningful speeches, from the podium about the program, the organization, the work it does, etc. And there's the ask. And I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be wild if we could send out, um, we could capture through MahaloHub uh, experiences from other major donors some of them might be in the room, some of them might not be, but just them talking about, here's why I give, here's why I support this organization, here's what I see as important about the work that they do. And I view this as a smart investment, and have, a dozen of those people just giving their why in under a minute right before the ask. That would be pretty awesome. So I'm putting that one like in the back of my head to pull out a little later when we're preparing for the fall nonprofit fundraisers, because that would be pretty cool. Getting that is so hard. We've had to do these really expensive formal shoots in the past, and this would be just an amazing way to have so many more voices chiming in. So that's one idea. That hasn't happened, but I can sure see that working very, very easily. Here's why. No one has to invite a crew into their home or their office. They just turn on their laptop and answer a few questions and send the file back to us, and we do the rest of the magic. Who's going to say no to that? They're going to say, sure. Excuse me. A way that we're currently using it is, and this is the scale issue that we touched on earlier. We have a client, it's the Golden Apple Foundation. They have for decades been preparing future teachers to work in schools of need. And they have, there's essentially a stipend. It's not a scholarship, it's a stipend, but they're students who follow this path are called scholars. Those scholars, the best way that we've ever had to help them learn about this program and decide, whether they're a match for it, has been the stories of other scholars. Those have been very difficult to obtain over the years for all the reasons we've just listed. And this year, we were able to, through the MahaloHub platform, send out 7 or 8 questions asking them to walk us through various aspects of their experience having been through the program and the difference that preparation has made to them now that they're teachers in the classroom in their first couple of years teaching. We have received dozens of responses in the shortest period of time, weeks. And we've already been able to convert them and use them in the application cycle. Which closes in about 30 days from today when we're recording this. And the ability to get those captured into the pipeline, up on social media, and being used in paid ads, it literally was in under 10 days that we were able to get it into the market from the point that we started. And we're still receiving them every single week, more and more and more submissions. So we have content that will get us well into the next recruitment cycle. And it's very fresh. And I cannot believe the volume that we have obtained in such a short period of time and activated on. We were never in a position to do that before. So that's one great example. Another is executive social media. So it's always a challenge to get executives to talk about, I was at this event and this happened. So it's a time issue. It's also just kind of a focus, like what do I need to say? I want to say so much. So the format of sending them the prompts through MahaloHub, we've selected 5 questions. We want you to talk about whatever the situation was, an event you were at, and something that happened in the organization, an announcement that was made, basically getting commentary from the highest levels of leadership in an organization about something that we want to have video content to support in social media. That comes back to us very, very quickly. We fix a lot of things in post-production, select what we want, and it's up on social media. In some cases, it has to go through their compliance, but usually within 24 hours. So that's some speedy stuff right there that you never see happening with traditional ways of capturing video. But the nice thing about that is the executives are very comfortable with it because they get multiple takes, they get the prompts, they get a little bit of a controlled environment in which they do it, where they're confident that it's going to turn out a lot better than if they were just kind of doing it on the fly. So it's a great format for executive social media as well. There's one more that I'll add, and I thought this was pretty cool. So we recently were part, and we still are part of a pitch process for us, a relatively large piece of business. And we used it in the pitch process. So we created the proposal and we sent it back with the cover letter. And in the cover letter was a QR code to scan, and it launched a video that we made using MahaloHub. And we had questions that we sent around to all the members of the team talking about why our agency was a fit, was like perfectly aligned with the mission of the organization we're pitching and what's unique about us. And basically, we were highlighting a lot of the evaluation criteria that had been stated in the RFP. And then we added something, which was our personal experience with the industry that this organization is a part of. And it's a very personal thing that what they do. It's death and dying. So everyone talked about their experience with funeral service providers when faced with the loss of a very close loved one. So we put all of that together and got it down to under 2 minutes with all 5 team members being a part of it, and sent it back. And we were selected as one of the finalists. So another time, maybe you'll hear us talk about that we have actually won the business. But that was a pretty cool way to utilize this platform and we were intentional about wanting to stand out from any other firms that were in this field of selection. And that's how, and we used MahaloHub to help us do that.
And first, well, I think this is a video and audio testimonial. This is exactly what you're looking for right here, isn't it, Patrick? What Eileen just did?
You could just
exactly
cut from this. I'll just send you the file.
Yeah, Eileen, I mean, as you were talking, I was like, I need to get this file so I can edit this
Exactly.
and use it.
Happy to give it to you.
Use
No
cases aplenty. Okay, so
Yeah.
before we wrap it up here, Patrick, we want to give you the final word and leave listeners with some actionable advice, inspiration, if you will, about this discussion. Eileen talked about barriers earlier, and I'm thinking of the word impediment. Same thing. As you make your case to people, how does MahaloHub remove all the impediments to doing the work and being able to capture the necessary video and the testimonials as well? We talked about how everybody said we just can't do it. It's too hard. It's too difficult. And now it seems like you've gotten rid of those. So give us a little color on that, if you would.
Yeah. In terms of advice, I have 2 pieces of advice before I talk about how MahaloHub kind of streamlines the entire process. The first is don't wait on this, right? The need for video is only expanding, right? It's only growing, and that need is accelerating. So my advice is don't wait and experiment, right? And just get over the fear or the impediment or the inertia. And then also, to Eileen's point, think beyond testimonials, right? I mean, think about how you would use video in any way, whether it's this or produce video. If you could use video, if you had your druthers, how would you use it, right? And then you can apply the use cases. MahaloHub is a tool that makes it super easy for organizations to scale their video by making it easy to capture, to invite, capture, edit, and share just a ton of great, authentic customer and employee videos, right? It takes away the planning. It takes away the logistics hurdles. It is affordable and is designed to meet every budget, and is super simple. And at the heart of it is an extraordinary user experience, both for the admins, right, the marketers, as well as the people who are recording.
Yep.
It's incredible. It's the brave new world of video. And once you were talking about it, and then Eileen was talking about all the use cases that she foresees and the ones she's already used, it's like, you're right. It's not just testimonials. There's so many different potential uses, and only our imaginations are limiting us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Absolutely. I'll just add one little tidbit of advice, which is an easy way to figure out how to use video, certainly in a simple platform like MahaloHub, is to collect 10 things that you want your constituents or customers or clients to know about you. And then think about who could say these things for me. like Patrick's sitting here thinking, God, Eileen can say these things for me.
Right.
Do
You're
that.
hired. You're hired.
Right.
Checks in the mail.
There's no payment involved, just so we're clear. So I want people to understand, like, it's that easy. If you just think about those, fine, even if it's 8 things, just try and get as many as you can mapped out, and then figure out who could I ask to say this on our behalf in my sphere. And then it's just as easy as sending an invite through MahaloHub, and everything else just happens in one platform. So try that exercise. It's really helpful. And then before we close, Patrick, I want to mention that if I would love to attach that decision in data or report that you cited to our show notes, just so people can see that too. I think that was pretty compelling. And I think learning more about that would be really valuable for our listeners, if that's okay. I'll try and find
nailed
it.
The answer. You nailed the answer, but I was sitting there thinking decision. I mean, it's such a huge platform, and yet it's so simple. So that's a good idea. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a joy having you on. It's been enlightening. It's been fascinating. You've been terrific.
Thanks so much, guys. This was great.
Yay. All right. So that's going to do it for another edition of Can You Hear Me? Sponsored today by MahaloHub. I'm Eileen Rochford. And if you would like to weigh in on this podcast, give us some ideas for future topics, just contact us through the Can You Hear Me page on LinkedIn.
And I'm Rob Johnson. We thank you for listening. And if you like the show, please consider giving us a review on any of the platforms where you can find Can You Hear Me, Apple, Spotify, and more. Your reviews help other potential listeners find our show. Thanks for listening.
Yay.